Okay, so number 19, 4 minus negative 1. Well, let's go ahead and I guess just the way I would approach this is, I mean, I would just say, well, once you put a negative against a negative times a negative, that's what that means, kind of, is times. That would be a positive, so it would end up being 4 plus 1. I'm not sure if that's how they want you to do it, because they want you to find it on the number line. So let's start at positive 4, and let's go minus a negative 1, so it means the opposite of a negative 1. Well, the opposite of a negative 1 is a positive 1. That's all I can think to do it, is just like that. I'm not entirely sure how they want you to do these. Let me look back. Let's see. So they want you to write the original problem. Like in this one, they want you to write as an addition problem. Put the sign inside the parentheses. Find the sum of the addition problem using the number line. So place a dot at negative 1. That's where we started, because we started with negative 1. And went down 7 more and got us to negative 8. Okay, here's for this one. This is like the one we're dealing with. Write the original problem as an addition problem. So they want to say 7 plus positive 3. Okay, so they do know that. So when you put two negatives, you do know that you can make it a positive. Now we've got positive 7 and start out with 3. Okay, that's how we're doing it. So in this one, I'll write it out like they're asking, where it's 4 plus positive 1, because we put two negatives together, it makes a positive. So then I start at 4, and I go over 1, and I get 5. So your answer is 5. Or you could circle that. I don't know how they want you to do it. This one is negative 6 minus positive 4, and they want you to put any negative stuff in a parentheses, so we'll write it like this: negative 6 plus, let's let the negative pierce through and be right there. It's going to be, so we'll start out with negative 6, plus, we're going to add on how much? Go this way or this way? Well, we're going to go down because we're adding more negatives to this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, right there on the end that we can see. It keeps going. So your answer is negative 10. And you can draw the lines and stuff like they did if you want to. For this one, it's going to be negative 2. Oh, 2 negatives makes a positive 3. And if we want to be real fancy with it, we can say negative 2 plus positive 3. We can write it like, you know. But we can tell by our, what is it, associative, I think, property, that it wouldn't really matter if they sit here or maybe even take the parentheses away. I don't know if that actually fits in the associative category. The thing is, when you have just plus and minus signs, they'll end up coming out of that parentheses and not really being hurt by it. We just put them in there to kind of look like they wanted it to look. The main thing is that you know where to go on the number line. So start with negative 2, add 3. Which way? Add 3 positive. 1, 2, 3. So we get a 1. So it really matters that you keep organized. Start here and count 1, 2, 3, like that. So positive 1 is your answer, which makes sense because when you look at this problem and like maybe you want to commute them, it doesn't matter. You can commute them when they're just being added together like we did up here. So you might be like, I'd rather see my 3 out front, and then, because that 3 is positive right here, and then see my negative 2 after. Oh wait, 3 minus 2, that's easy, that's 1. We found that though by counting on here. We could also find it by commuting them. Okay, this one, 4, they've already, okay, yeah, they want us to put the plus there. Okay, so let the negative pierce through and become the 9's negative, and just put plus -9. So we'll start out at 4, and then we'll add on in that direction -9. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're at 0, which is interesting to note. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So -5 is our answer, and you can actually dot that and count it down and double check your work. But I'm going to do that again, like what we did up here, just so that you can see it. This one's a little different because now the negative number is bigger. You're not used to seeing like, oh, what happens there. But the way you can look at it is like, think of it as just, what's the difference? Like pretend like you were actually doing 9 take away 4. Just for a second, pretend that. Just so that you know what the difference is between them. What is the space between them? Well, it's 5. So we know it's 5 is the difference, but what sign are we going to use for when the 9 is a negative number? Well, -5, because that's the difference between a positive 4, and you count down to 0. That's 4 minus 4. Well, 4 minus 5, minus 6, minus 7, minus 8, minus 9. 4 minus 9 makes -5. But I just want to show you that the 5, the absolute value of it is just the difference between the big number and the little number. Okay, this one is 9 minus 14. So this is another one where the minus sign hits the bigger number. So that's going to be 9 plus, I'll let the negative sign sit inside, 9 plus -14. Okay, so let's start at 9, up here, my camera to focus, and count down 14. Well, we know we can count down 9 and get to what? Get to 0. So that much is 9. Just helping you do a little shortcut now that we've done this enough times. That is 9, -9, -10, -11, -12, -13, -14. So that is when we count down 14 from a positive 9. Another way, like I did up there to show you, would be, what's the difference between 14 and 9? Like, just what's the normal space between a 9 and a 14? Well, it takes 5 leaps for 9 to get to 14. So 5 is the normal space. Now, look back at your original problem. Which one has the negative sign, or what sign does the bigger number have? I guess I should put it that way. So the bigger number will win in an addition and subtraction problem. Just think of it like a tug of war. I mean, that bigger number has way more pull. So it's going to pull the 9 over the amount of difference. Well, we know the difference is 5. It pulled it over that amount. So the 9 was able to get it up a little bit, but it couldn't get it all the way over. It only got it to -5. The 14 pulled the 9 down, but they always make it the same difference that they are when they're regular, like when it's a regular looking subtraction problem that you're used to seeing where the big number is positive. Anyway, that got a little complicated. Let's see if we have time to do a few from 3.3 before my video quits. I'm running out of space. Okay, so let's do this one. Find the answers without. Oh, good. I don't like using the number line. I'm tired of that number line. Okay, so find the difference. I'm just gonna think, what's the difference? What's like 10 minus 8? Well, that's easy. That's 2. Now think about your sign. Which sign's going to win? The negative. So the difference is 2, and the bigger number, that's a positive 8. The bigger number, that sign wins because it pulled it over the 0. Pulled that 8 all the way over to the difference. Okay, what's the difference between 7 and 4? The difference to get to 7 from 4 is 3. So I'm going to write it just absolute value. Now think about your sign. Well, negative wins. That's supposed to be an equals. Okay, so, here's a good one. We've got to get it out of the parentheses and work it out first. Well, we just know that negative times a negative makes a positive. So it's really a lot simpler when you just write it out like that. And now you can work it out. That's 6. Okay, we can do this. -2. That plus is just sitting there. I mean, it's always given that stuff's plussed, unless you say otherwise. And so if we take it out, it'll just be -2 minus 11. So just add them together, because if you think of your number line, it does help sometimes to think of it. If you were to be at -2 and add on a whole nother -11, now you'd be at 2 plus 11, which is 13, but -13. Let's do some that are kind of lower down, maybe more complicated. Let's do this one. Number 45. 12 plus 23 plus -45. Well, it's really not that complicated. Really, we can just take that one out of its parentheses now. It does not matter what order you would do these in. I'm going to do them in this order first and then tackle that negative. I actually think they may have said to do that was put all the ones that have the same signs together, get them done first. It's not because it would change the outcome. I think it's just to help you stay organized and tackle your minusing at one time. So 2 and 3 is 5. 1 and 2 is 3. So now we got 35 minus 45. Now, you can do this on a number line if you want. That would be a lot of numbers to draw. I would prefer to do it in the same way we did some of our other ones, which was just find the difference between them. Don't worry about the signs right now, but just think, what is the difference when I've got 45 and I need to know how many more it takes for 35 to get to 45. So just find the difference. I know it seems like I'm reversing the signs, but I'm just doing that so I can find the difference. And usually you may have picked up on this, but when you have a 25 to 35, 35, 45, that's just counting by tens. So the difference in them is 10. So now you're going to write, the negative sign is going to win, of course, because the 45 is bigger. So its negative sign is going to be the positive sign of the 35. You're going to have 10 is the difference. And the sign stays negative. Okay, let's do this one. I'll try not to be as wordy. 45. Well, okay, I'll just put a plus right here. Let me add these two. Let's see. -16 and -12. Well, 16 and 12 would be 28. So it's just combined. They keep their signs when you combine, or you're adding them, not multiplying. When you multiply them, like technically that's multiplied. That was a 1. When you multiplied them, it got to be positive. When you add a negative and a negative, it's just like it was on that number line. You were negative plus negative. So yeah, I'll clean that up. So that would be -28. I'll just write it like this, so I don't have plus and minus just directly against each other. But really, you can take it out of there, and you've got 45 minus 28. Yay, we finally have this subtraction problem that's like the big number is positive. It just feels more natural. Okay, so 3, 15, 8, 7, 1. So 17, and yes, your positive sign wins out. So that's a positive 17. Let's do this one. 22, number 50, 22. But why do I start writing? I need to combine them. Like, that's kind of what they say to do. So let's combine the 22 and the 24. We're going to, what is it called? The property we're using, commutative. We're going to commute this 24 over here. 22 plus 24. Plus, let's put the -7 over here. So long as you just don't forget to write them all down. So that would be a problem. Got a little sloppy there. That's a -7. Okay, so add these two. That's going to be 46. And then add these two. Well, that's going to be, I'll just write them in here to keep ourselves organized. Oh, that makes 20, but a -20 because we combined, their signs stay negative. And you combine two negatives, so that's -20. All right, so now we just have 46 minus 20, just like that. So that's just a math problem. You can do that over to the side, or you can do it in your head. I'll count down by tens. 46 minus 10 is 36. 36 minus another 10 is 26. So it's going to be a positive or negative?